All right, let's talk about Clip Studio's reference tool. And I don't mean reference as in referencing anatomy or a photo or background. I mean reference as in referencing one layer in particular while working on another layer. And this is going to help speed up our shading and rendering and all sorts of fun stuff just to save us time. And it's very helpful and fun. So it's very exciting. First, let's talk about the tools. We'll go into the technical bit first. So you're going to find the reference tool. It's in the layers. It's a little icon that looks like a lighthouse. So you can kind of see me clicking it on and off right here. You're also going to see in the layers that now next to inks, there's a little lighthouse icon. It's a bit harder to see when the layer is active, but you can still kind of see it transparently back there behind the active drawing layers. So that's how you know if it's on or off. And like I said, it's called the reference. I like to call it the lighthouse because it looks like a lighthouse. So I see a lot of people using this tool for when they're doing their flats. They'll make their inks a reference layer for when they're kind of filling in their flats. But the way we do our flats, it's not really helpful. It doesn't make anything faster or better or easier because of our paint bucket settings. So I typically haven't used this tool too much, but now I'm going to use it all the time because we're going to use it on our flats to help our shading go faster. So one more technical thing we're going to go over before I show you kind of the use of it in practice is we're going to look at our selection tools. So by default, you're going to have these top three by default. I have one I have called Special Wand. It is a duplication of this one right here, Selection for Referred Layers. So I modified this. So by default, this auto selection tool has these settings, but I'm going to show you the settings that I like to use. So we're going to go to my Special Wand. As you can see, you can rename it anything you want. I named it Special Wand. I think Reference Wand is good. Lighthouse Wand is good. Anything that's going to help you remember what it is. So these are the settings I like. I like to turn tolerance down to 0. That's just my preference. We're going to see here in the Refer Multiple area, the lighthouse icon is selected, and I have these settings for those. The only ones I left unchecked marked is Exclude Locked Layers, because I'm actually going to lock my flats layer. That way I don't accidentally goof it up. So we can keep our flats layer locked away safe and sound so that we're not going to accidentally draw on there and be sad later. So we're going to leave that one unlocked. And then, of course, we're going to make sure anti-aliasing is off, of course, because our flats are nice and crispy and we want our selections to be nice and crispy. And so, of course, I'm going to want that selection turned off. Okie dokie. So before I show you this in practice, I'm going to show you like the good old fashioned way of doing this. So we're going to make sure clip to layer below is still on. So if we're coloring in wherever we want, we're still not going to be going outside of our flats. So obviously if I turn that off, you can see I've scribbled yuckily outside, but since we're clipped, it looks nice and pretty. So we don't have to worry about that. We're going to leave that turned on. So let's say I just started shading. Obviously you don't have to make any selections when you're shading, but maybe perhaps you want to focus on certain areas. So you can still do your shading like this, but there are probably going to be times when you want a certain zone, like I don't want to color in her hair yet. I don't want to color in certain bits because the shading doesn't always kind of match up to be that way. So in the olden days, let's say I wanted to add a soft shadow. I would go to my magic wand, I'd go to my flats, I'd select her skin, I'd go back to my shading, and then I would kind of go in and start possibly, hopefully, shading in. Or which area do I have selected by accident? let me make sure I have the right area selected. Okay, let's try again. Magic wand, I want her skin. Awesome. Okay, there we go. I had the wrong area selected. Okay, so I'd go like this and start coloring in her skin with some shading. Because I don't want to start painting everything. I don't want, let me undo. If I don't do that, I'm going to be, I'm going to be shading in a bunch of areas I don't want. And that's no good. That's no good at all. So that's how I would do it in the olden days. I would switch back and forth. So let's say I want to do the eye. I want to kind of lighten up that shading. I'd grab my airbrush, kind of do that. But when we do this, there's room for error. So if I'm selecting different areas, maybe I would forget what I have selected, and then I start painting on her hair, and I realize, oh, dang it, I just goofed up my flats, and that makes me very sad. So we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen. No more accidentally painting on the wrong layers. Let me undo all this stuff, all this good stuff. Okay, so that's the olden ways, okay? So now, because we've got our flats as a reference layer turned on, we're going to lock it, so no more goofing up our flats. And now we're going to use our special wand. So let's go to our shading. So from our shading layer being active, I'm going to grab special wand, and now I'm going to grab her skin. And now you can see that I have selected that area without having to switch to my flats layer. So now if I want to do a big old soft airbrush, I can kind of quickly do that. And from here, I don't have to switch to my flats, grab my special wand. Now I can grab her eyes, the red areas, anywhere I want. I can now grab that. If you want to grab all the selected areas, so let's say I want all of the red areas, you're going to go to your brush and you're going to unclick Apply to Connected Pixels Only. Now if I try to select the white over eyes, I'm going to select every area that's white, every area that's, let me get that back. So every area of that color of my flats. So you can kind of adjust it as needed. So as you can see, I'm clicking through my flats. If I don't have this selected, if I have my normal magic wand and I try making selections like that, I'm going to just select what's ever on the current layer. And that's no good. So that's why we're going to use our new special fancy reference wand to go in, and now we can very quickly select areas that we want to color in, and we're just going to save ourselves a whole bunch of time, and it's so exciting and fun, and hopefully you will find this very helpful to doing your art kind of faster and more efficiently.